What's up, guys? Hope you guys are having a fantastic weekend. Today, Thomas and I will be talking to you guys about Project 50. We'll be telling you what it is, what rules we've implemented, and how it's benefited our life tremendously. So without further ado, Tom, I'll let you take it over.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Make sure you drop a comment, drop a like, and first of all, subscribe. So, Project 50. It's a challenge where you post day in the lives every single day, which we've done, on TikTok and Instagram, and it's for 50 days straight consistently. And so one of the first rules that we had was wake up at 7 a.m. We did this for around 45 days straight now, for the most part. We slack off some days, but that's to be expected. And we just try to be productive and be efficient with our time. We try to find meaning, and we try to do different things and step out of our comfort zone. So that's the whole real goal of Project 50. And Jawan Farah, my good friend, he's the one that did it and kind of showed me what it was. So he was my inspiration for starting.
Now, Tom, speaking of some challenges, I'm glad you mentioned that word because that's really imperative to talk about, right? What are some of the challenges that you face throughout Project 50? What adversities have you faced, and how did you overcome it, and what best method helped to overcome that?
So right off the bat, one of the first negatives or challenges that I've seen was just how do I get on a good routine, and how do I make sure I record everything? Because as simple as it sounds, I forgot all the time to record dinners, going to practice, stuff like that. And it took me about a week to get into a good routine. Also, remembering to post it and everything and staying on a strict schedule. It was kind of hard in the beginning, but I found this one useful thing that I did in the first week. Stay a day ahead and make sure you have all that content from that day and save it for the next day. And your day ahead, it's less stress for you, and it's honestly more efficient if you do that way. And I found that honestly within the first week, and I know you started doing it too, and I feel like that has really helped. But time management was one thing that I kind of struggled in the beginning with.
I would just bank off on that fact too, Tom, because for me, time management was something that I've sort of struggled with, but not because it's partly because I wasn't best at it, but also because I've never tried it and I never really fancied it like that, right? Through high school, I took it very minimal. I didn't get my full effort, but now I'm in college. I've realized the things I can do, what I'm capable of, even more. So I would say time management has been on, and just honestly, waking up, because waking up at 7 is not easy. Why? Because one, it's 7 a.m., which means you have to sleep a lot earlier. And on top of that, you have to be mindful of what you're doing the night prior to see how you can wake up and feel, right? So waking up is probably the hardest step for me because that's just starting your day, and it's just like anything in life. Doing the first step can sometimes be difficult and scary. So I would say that's been the challenge for me, Tom. It's been very interesting. Like you said, we've learned a lot through challenges, and I would say one adversity I've overcame is doing things regardless of how I feel. You know, you could be having a bad day and stuff like that. I'm not saying you're not going to slack off to an extent, but let's say for Project 50, we wake up and we go to the gym, which is something that we do. Even if I'm not having a good day, I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna still try to go to the gym regardless of how I'm feeling. And that kind of helps you build discipline and just bring everything that just combines together throughout it. Another thing for me, Tom, is while we're on the challenges, I would say what positives have we realized through Project 50 and how did that help us in our life?
Well, there's been, I would say 90% of the things I've done for Project 50 to be positive. So I would say the main thing would just be honestly getting onto a strict schedule and routine. I honestly complete work on Monday for classes that are due Friday. I'm on top of everything. My time management is insane right now. And I would say the other thing is just honestly, it translates to other aspects of your life. Honestly, for your mental health, it honestly does. If you're trying to do meaningful things each day, eventually you're gonna kind of find that also translate to branches off into other aspects. Our social media presence has grown so much. Like our Westchester social media soccer account on TikTok, we got 22,000 views. We have around 150 followers. We average around 1,700 views. That translates to every every part, even our handler options. And if you guys haven't known, we have a Discord that is tailored to just investors, and it's completely free. So take a look with our link tree, join it. Why not? It's completely free.
Free.
And but to go back to the negatives, because I forgot one, my trading hasn't been doing great, and it's interesting because I thought I would do better actually doing Project 50 with my trades, but that's one thing that's been lacking. Back to the positives though, I would say honestly, doing it with you, me and you as partners, kind of with a buddy system, that's honestly the difference maker. We held each other accountable, we were on top of each other, and that's why I think we've grown so much. Another positive that I've seen is NIL and brand deals. As you can see, Firefly Recovery, I'm one of the first persons, not to brag, but at Westchester to get an NIL deal. And it's just crazy to see that even as Division II athletes, we can still get NIL deals. Even though I was the only Division II athlete on that meeting with Firefly, it kind of shows that nothing's out of reach for us. And I also shout out to Sidebar in Westchester. It's a restaurant. Adam, me and him have connected, and I'm doing some work for them in exchange for some food. And I think I can promote and help both parties kind of advance. So I found a lot of positives. I'd love to hear some of yours, Chris.
So, positives, right? Well, for one, I would say there's power in numbers. Doing this with you is way better than doing it by myself, because with anything in life, when you do things by yourself, it gets lonely, especially when those hard times come, those adversities and stuff like that. It's not the most easy thing to do, And another thing I would say is I want to highlight the fact that you talked about mental health, right? As college kids, college students, if I may say, mental health is something that's been talked about a lot, that's been discussed, it's been tried to address, but there's a few things you need to understand when it comes to mental health, Tom, and we've had conversations like this before. Waking up and going to bed around the same time helps so much. It sounds so simple and cliche, but I'll explain why. When you go to bed at the wrong time, you wake up at a different time, and just continue to do that throughout the times, that messes with your circadian rhythm. Your circadian rhythm has to do with your mood. That determines your mood. So when you can keep a balanced structure of what time you go to bed and wake up, it makes you feel better. And I've always wondered, because bro, since freshman year, this man has been waking up since 7, bro. Like, we're having soccer tournaments, all that stuff. He's just up and ready to go. So you just, if you keep getting that drive every time, then it must be something that's worth it, right? And another thing is having that idea of just being productive and just doing things early on in the day and at the start helps a lot, because another thing that's a very heavy topic is anxiety. Everyone's to some extent is anxious about their schoolwork. Can they get it done? Did they put it off? If you just figure out to knock that out and get it done very quickly, then anxiety is kept at bay. Like, what are you going to be anxious about when school's out of the way? That's a big problem for most of us. But yeah, the mental health, man, it keeps you structured. It really does. But that's the difficult part. To really find the meaning to the suffering, right? You have to have and partake in some type of responsibility. Like, we're not gonna have good mental health and feel good about ourselves by, oh yeah, I scrolled on social media, I did this, I did that, I posted this picture today. So, it doesn't bring, instant gratification doesn't bring true meaning. We didn't realize this in the first 2 weeks, but now that we're about to be done and the dying 5, 6 days, 7 days left, we're realizing a lot of things that can help. And with that being said, Tom, I'd like to focus a little bit too. When we talk about challenges and positivity, it all combines into the videos we make. So could you tell our viewers a little bit what goes behind the scenes of making the videos, what can happen, and also how making videos for us has helped us out with brand deals, and also how to edit overall, and even to be in this position right here.
So yeah, it was pretty simple with just the day in the life, just because it was just used on TikTok. You just record kind of short clips, around 3 to 5 seconds, of certain things you do in a day. And at the end of the day, you just go in and you just tap on your clips. You can adjust them in TikTok, which is pretty user-friendly to edit. So there wasn't anything that crazy, and it was just good practice with voiceovers and stuff, because of course you have to do a couple over because you mess up. But overall, it wasn't that challenging, but that also leads us to podcasts like here we are today. We want that next step, and that's what, after Project 50, after we complete it, what's there for us to do? Expand, go into podcasts, run our Discord more, social media. There's so many different routes we can go, and it just all stems back from just creating these daily vlogs that were almost just bigger than what we even could ever imagine when we first started doing them. And I think just after 50-day project, I think we can just have so many different things that I'm just excited for, and hopefully we see so many different sponsorships on this wall, and I just hope we really just can continue just consistency. That's the main thing coming forward.
Hey man, it is true. I'll tell you guys one thing. The fool is a precursor to the savior. Tom, we all know that so well, right? What that basically means is, when you start something out, you're not going to be good at it, right? We played soccer. We played soccer for the school. We're on the varsity team. But our first game, our first practice, our first tryout, we were nowhere near as good as we were, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that means that there's learning experiences and failures. There's things we need to learn in order to become, right? So that's one thing. Even just doing this podcast now, we'll get a lot of feedback, we'll get some genuine comments, and then throughout that, 2-3 weeks from now, we're going to be at an even better step. It's all about incremental improvements. And that's one thing that Project 50 has taught me, which is why I'm so glad we did it, because bro, I'll tell you what, that first day waking up, bro, I'm like, yo, nah, like, I'm gonna do this. We could just do it the next day, like, I'll tell Tom I'll join him soon, like, you know what happens when your mind tells you, like, it's almost as if you're fake dreaming, like, your mind builds this false perception of what you can do or what you are doing instead of what you should be doing. So yeah, bro, I would say that Project 50 as a whole has been very, very beneficial. And I think we've told you guys a good amount of what it really partakes and what it consists of. But Tom, there's a few more things I'd like to cover. And most importantly is, why do you think other people should try to do something along the lines of Project 50? Well, how can that change their lives? Because to some extent, we're all human, but to some extent, certain things that works for you can also work for me, also vice versa, right? So Tom, what do you think?
So I would suggest to anyone, honestly, try out something new. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. That's one thing that I've tried to do all semester with you. Try out new things. Time is so limited. That's the only thing that really matters in life. You have to there's never a right time for anything. You just have to act on it spontaneously. That's one thing I've learned. Also, I think if you can just get into a good schedule and plan out the night before, block out 15-20 minute time increments and see how much more productive you'll be in a day. I guarantee you that will help you relieve stress and just help you just stay more organized and be more disciplined in different aspects of your life. That's one thing I think everyone at home should honestly try.
Listen, I know you mentioned making a schedule in 15-20 minutes increments. He's 100% right, but if you can't get it right away, it's all right. Start bigger, because I promise you, this man has like the same schedule as some of these CEOs, bro. Like when you look at it, it's like 7 to 7:05 to 7:10, and he's literally maximizing every time. And it's interesting because those are what the big guys do. Those are what the men with the highest status do. They try to make every single minute as productive as possible. How much time does it take from specialty? Was it 1 minute the first thing? Can you put it down to 45 seconds? So yeah, it really is interesting, and I do believe that Project 50, like Tom says, helps out a lot immensely with the schedule, because I mean, I always thought I didn't need a schedule. I was always one of the people who were like, yeah, like, you know, that's cool, like I just do things on the fly because I'm able to adjust and so forth. But what I've realized is, if I just make a schedule and put what I want on the schedule, let's say I want to wake up, go to the gym, we live together, play some chess. All right, cool. It doesn't have to be, oh, I have to do homework all day kind of thing. So it's weird because we've always heard this throughout our life. I know people always say like, oh, take school seriously, make a schedule, and we only do things to a certain extent. But what we have realized is, the more you just continue to do things, it's almost as if your body kind of builds new cells, new genes to adapt, new cells, so to say, to adapt. And it's like, okay, I'm better at this. My body naturally wakes up at some point early in the morning
Mm-hmm.
before 7. Like if I wake up and I see a little bit of light, I know it's about to be 7. Like why am I even going back to sleep? You know what I'm saying? Like so yeah, but that's what I would say, Tom. And I'll ask if you have any last words. But other than that, we just wanted to share with you guys our experience and what we learned and what we're going to continue to learn throughout this process. And we hope that you guys continue with us throughout this journey. And it's going to be a great one.
Yeah, I thought we talked about every single aspect of Project 50 in this podcast, and I'm just excited to see what the future has to hold. I see a lot of collabs with other sports teams in the future that we'll be posting on our Westchester social media page, so take a look at our link tree in the bio. There's many different links, and we're involved in a lot of stuff right now, so just take a look at that, and honestly, drop WCU in the comments if you made it this far. Only we'll know if you did, but just to show who the true fans are, and we appreciate everyone watching, and yeah, we're excited for that was podcast 2, and we're excited to keep going.